Okay, so we have 30 minutes now, and as we talked about today, we are going to cover these two topics. Well, actually, we'll be able to cover just one. So at least I'm happy that we were able to cover these three important topics: inheritance and abstract class and Java interface and polymorphism. So, these are core concepts of Java object-oriented programming. So, if you guys actually have a reasonably good understanding on these three topics, and then I'm gonna be happy. Okay, so let's move on to tour of Java lang classes. Okay, so in this presentation, we are going to just look into several classes that are provided under Java the lang package. For example, string class, StringBuffer class, wrapper class, method class, system class, process class, and runtime class, and ProcessBuilder class, things like that. Okay. So string class, we have already seen many examples of string class, so you might have reasonably good understanding on how string class works. So it represents combinations of character literals. So using Java, strings can be represented using array of characters or string class. Okay. In fact, if you take a look at the string class, it has many constructors. So you should be able to create a string object in many different ways. So you create empty string without providing anything, or you could actually provide a character array to create a string object, or you could actually provide a bytes array to create a string object, or you could actually provide the string array, and then we provide starting point and length of it. Okay. So so I'm not sure this is a starting point and this is ending point, or that this is the length from this. Okay, so if you take a look at the construct of string, you will actually see many different ways of creating a string object. Okay, so it's just printing things out. So, if you take a look at the string class, again, we have seen, in fact, the string class APIs from the Java docking of NetBeans, right? Okay, context-sensitive Java docking. Okay, so a bunch of this. So it does provide many methods as well. Length method, replace method, substring method to character array. You can convert string into character array. You can trim it, and you can actually see the value of it and all those things. So Java provides pretty decent set of string manipulation methods. So you should be able to do relatively complex string manipulation. So this is an example of, so we actually learn character add is instance method of a string object, right? So it's actually getting third the character of the string. This is compare to. So basically compare to is actually comparing I forgot that one. Okay, so compare to, if you go to the Java documentation, is comparing what is called the lexicographically. Okay. Anyway, and equals. This is probably something that you use quite often when you actually try to compare where two string objects are in fact equals. Case is sensitive. If you want to ignore case, then you say equals ignore case. Okay. And this is you can also call the length method to get the length of it. You can replace all A's with E, and then you are going to have a substring. Okay. And this is trim, so you can actually trim it. Okay, so basically whatever things at the end will be trimmed. Okay, so just understand that there are a bunch of methods that you can use for string. Now, StringBuffer class. The string class, as we learned, is a final class. Okay, which means it cannot be extended, and also it cannot be modified. Once a string object gets created, it cannot be modified. Okay, So, when you are doing string manipulation, maybe you are adding one string with another. You want to actually concatenate by using like a plus operator. Okay. What has to happen underneath is that, it has to create a brand new string object and it has to copy things over. Okay. Because a string object cannot be modified. Right. So that's a little bit, performance, it has a performance implication. So if you have to actually deal with the string manipulation, like a concatenation or, the removing some characters from it and things like that, then you want to use a string buffer. Because a string buffer, you can actually, this is something we call the mutable, or can be modified. Okay, so it works pretty much the string object, but it's mutable, so it actually provides better performance. So the length and content may be changed through some method calls, meaning it provides a better performance. So, you can actually find the capacity because the size of the string can be changed. Okay, and you can append it, and you can, it does also have several other the similar methods like a string, character add, and things like that. Okay, and you can insert into an offset. Okay. All right. So again, capacity, append, and character add is again the StringBuffer class is a utility class. Is actually convenience class that provides a better performance than string object. So that's pretty much it. So here you are replacing from third character to ninth character with ONG or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to actually finish up the presentation and then I'm going to ask you guys to do the lab on your own. Okay, so I'm going to actually finish as much time I have, and then rest of it, I certainly, I assume you can certainly actually do the exercise on your own because it's relatively straightforward. Okay. All right, so wrapper classes is something that we have talked about already. So, only objects have access method of object class, and primitive data types are not object, so they cannot use the methods and properties of object class. So sometimes you want to actually create the wrapper class of those primitive type. So if you need object representation of that primitive type, then you have to actually convert to wrapper type object. Okay, and as I said before, the collection take only object as its element. Okay, so primitive type has to be converted into object before it can be saved as an item in a collection. Okay, so wrapper classes provide object representation of primitive types. Okay, so we have seen Boolean wrapper class is object type of Boolean, and integer is, yeah, so this is something we talked about before, so I'm gonna just move ahead. Yeah, so wrapper class, so this is a Boolean example. So you can actually create the Boolean object just like you're creating any other objects. You have to use like a new keyword to create it. Okay. All right. So nothing really important here. So basically you can call the methods of those Boolean object. Okay, so that is wrapper class, the example exercise. Math class. Math class, as you probably assume, or actually the guess, provides methods that you can use for mathematical computation. Okay, so you can actually get the random number. You can find the max between the two double number, the minimum between the two, and you can find the ceiling. Runs the smallest integer that is greater than or equal to this double number. Floor is largest number that is less than or equal to specified the double. Okay, so math class. So exponential, the log, and so square root, and things like that. Okay, so absolute value, you get the random value and multiply by 10. You get the max between the two, minimum between the two. And ceiling, floor, exponential. So round value, square root, 2 degrees. So, you can see a bunch of methods are provided on the math class. So lab exercise. Okay, system class. Yeah, so this is one of the questions that was asked on the first day. When you actually using system.out.println or print method, you're basically using system class. Okay, so system class has useful fields and methods. So one of the public fields that system class has is standard input and standard output. So that's the reason you can actually call the system.out. That's the output device, and then you can call the method of it. Okay. It does also provide a utility method for fast copying or part of an array. So yeah. So this array copy is actually what I meant, by this. Okay. Utility method for fast copying. And you can also call exit. That means you actually exiting out your application. Garbage collection. GC is a garbage collection. So you're basically hinting to the system that I want garbage collection. Okay. And let's see. Yeah. So this, and then you can get the current time in milliseconds. Okay. And array copy is for copying, fast copy. So this it's not forcing it. It's actually giving hint. I should actually change this one. Okay. So when you call GC, that means you are actually indicating to the system that you want garbage collection. That doesn't mean that system will do, in fact, garbage collection right at that point. Okay, it will actually, try to do garbage collection, but there is no guarantee. Okay, it's basically setting the input system to this file input system. We haven't learned the input system, input stream and output stream. Well, actually, we haven't learned the I/O stream yet, so that's actually one of the topics that we are going to cover either today and tomorrow. Okay, so it's basically you are actually setting the input stream with this file input stream. So basically, you are getting input from this file, okay, rather than from default input stream, which is a keyboard. Okay, exit is you are the exiting out. 0 means successful exit out. Okay. System properties. So Java JVM actually maintains bunch of system properties like a version, vendor, and the VM version number and name and things like that. Okay. It does have even the OS name, OS architecture, OS version. It does also actually have file separator. So for Mac OS and Linux, / is a file separator, while / is on Windows, right? And the file separator on Mac OS and Linux is a colon, and the semicolon is a path separator on Windows. Okay, so these are the things that you can actually access from system properties. So you could actually write an application that actually handles the differences among the OS platforms, and it does also have a username and user home. So when you actually when you call get properties, you can tell this is the static method, right? So when you call the static method called the get properties on system, then you get all these properties, and then you can list them out, and then you will see all these values. Okay. So this is what you're going to see. Okay. So that is exercise 2 and 3. So let me actually just do system class. Okay, so let's just run this guy. So time of the day and system class 2. I think this is actually for a system environment. Okay, so one thing I want to actually show you is system out println. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, so basically out is a property. Okay, it's a public property. So if you actually go to system Java documentation, yeah, let's actually go to the source. Actually go to Java doc. So if you go to Java doc, you can see it has the static fields called print stream, input stream, and output stream. So when you use system.out, it's actually using this public static method, static variable. Okay, and this output stream is basically print stream. So print stream has println. This is where you can actually use this print statement and println statement, or printf, println. So println is what we have been using all along, right? Okay. So hopefully now you actually understand, what system.out the println is actually coming from. Okay. All right. And process and runtime class. So process class is basically it provides methods for manipulating processes. So you can kill the process, you can run the process, you can check the status of the process. Okay. So a runtime class represent Java runtime system. So you can actually get the runtime. So you can actually get the runtime like this, and there is in fact the exact method, and you can actually run some application on your platform. So if I'm running this application on Windows, and if I run Notepad, and I can actually run this main code, and it should actually run Notepad. Okay. So from the runtime system, you can actually run some command. The operating system, in this case, Notepad. And runtime system. So let's actually try a few runtime system here. Yeah, so this is exec. So if you take a look at the code here. So here I'm actually, so first of all, I check. So I get the runtime. So let me show the code here. I get the runtime object by calling static method of runtime class. Okay. And then I check whether, and I'm going to actually call the get property of OS name. Okay. And I check whether that OS name start with the Windows. And if it is Windows, I'm going to run Notepad. And if it is not, I'm going to use the either Linux or the macOS, assuming they have a gedit. Okay. And then basically I'm actually running that application. Okay. So let's actually run that application. In this case, because I'm using Windows, it's going to run Notepad. Okay, like this. Okay. And ProcessBuilder Class. Yeah, so ProcessBuilder is that you can actually fork off a process but provide some kind of a custom runtime environment. Okay, so that's why the ProcessBuilder is actually introduced in Java SE5. I mean, it's not really important class for you to remember. Okay, so we just saw the example of running exec method, right? But it doesn't really provide the customization of the environment, runtime environment for sub processes. So ProcessBuilder class basically provides customization of those runtime environment. For example, you can modify the environment variable for the process and start the process and things like that. Okay. Streams is something that we are going to talk about in detail. So JDK comes with 3 standard I/O streams: input stream, output stream, and error stream. Okay. So with the runtime exec, yeah, so this is runtime exec. So you can actually, you can specify the command array. So I'm actually running Java P, private, and the string, and then I provide the environment. So this is actually usage of runtime exec to provide only actually command and the path, okay, environment. But this is pretty limited. This is pretty much only thing you can do with the runtime exec. But if you're using ProcessBuilder, you can also actually create a bunch of other. You can actually set the environment variables. Okay, so ProcessBuilder will actually provide more, let's say, customization. Okay, so again, this is probably not the class that you are going to use often. Okay, so not much of a big deal. And you can also set the input stream and output stream as well. Okay, so that is the end of the presentation. So let me actually, explain the hands-on lab a bit, and then we are going to call it a day. So here, you're going to actually play around with the constructors, class method, meaning static method, and object comparison, lexicographical comparison. So you are using compare to, and then using StringBuffer class. Okay, so that is exercise 1, exercise 0. Exercise 1 is using various wrapper classes. Okay, so Boolean class, and then various data type. What data type are we talking about here? Okay, so basically we are using double and the okay, yeah, long. Okay, so this is basically primitive type. I was actually expecting okay, so this one is just kind of playing on with the data type, like a long, float, and double and Boolean, so not much big deal. This is a math class, okay? And then exercise 2 is system properties. So when you can get the system property by calling get property with and then name of that property. So in this case, I'm trying to get the name of user using that this application. So JVM. So basically, it will actually display. In my case, it's going to display Sang. Okay, because that's my username here. And you can certainly take a look at the lab documentation, the API documentation to see all the properties. And yeah, so this is the case that we are displaying all system properties. So these are the properties. So you can see it does provide a lot, right? Okay. And basically what it does is get the properties, and then we are just listing it on system out upstream. Set system properties. So what you can do is that you can also set some system properties. So here, what we are doing is we are going to actually, we have a file called the myproperties.txt file. So inside that file, let's take a look at that file first. Okay, so here we create that file, right? So inside that file, we are going to actually add these two the messages, the properties. So this is a key of the property, this one, and this is the value, and then this is another key, and this is the value. Okay, so when we add those two properties using this code, basically we are setting those two properties, by calling the set properties, and then when we list it, then we should be able to see it. Okay, so I think that's actually what is, yeah. So let's actually see the result of running that application. Yeah, so now you're actually seeing the custom system properties that we have set. Okay. Okay, and system class is something that we just play around a bit already. Okay, so and process and Runtime.exec. Yeah, so that's actually Notepad that I have run here. So we have already play around with it. We can actually find the memory size. Okay, so basically you can call the max memory and total memory from runtime. Okay, and runtime class 2. So yeah, so this is actually that is what is called the jaxp command. Okay, so jaxp command is actually analyzing a class file, and then it will dissect it. Okay, so for example, I can actually find out. Yes, so this is actually using what is called the reflection to find out all the methods and properties of a particular class. So if I actually say jaxp, let me actually try that. Okay. It will dissect it, and it will actually tell you all the basically the methods and properties and all that stuff. Okay. Okay, so that's jaxp command, and again, this is actually from the JDK. Okay, so if you go to, I'm gonna just use where Java P. Okay, so this is actually from the JDK. Okay. Okay, so that's jaxp command. Okay, and yeah, so get runtime. So yeah. Yeah, so basically, I'm actually executing jaxp by providing this environment. Okay, so nothing much. And this is a process builder. So, I'm going to just skip this one. This is probably not that much important. All right, so that's about it. And let me actually